All right, welcome back to the First Thought Wrong podcast. I'm Brian, your host. This is Lucas, the co-host. And we got Johnny back. Today we're going to talk about some quotes that we pulled from my personal Facebook group, Mindset Motivation. We're going to talk about how they motivate us, how they keep us going, how they change our perspective to think a little bit differently in our recovery, because all three of us are in recovery. I want to shout out our sponsor, Never Alone Recovery. Check them out on Facebook or neveralonerecovery.com. And let's get into it.
Maybe we should talk about Mindset Motivations real quick, because I mean, it's an awesome group. You've got, how many followers do you have on that?
1.3 million members
1.3
plus.
million people.
That's crazy. I remember when it was in its early days, because I joined when it was only like maybe 10K or something. That was small, still like a local thing. And yeah, when I hopped on there, I've watched it grow tremendously in the past year. So it was pretty interesting to meet you, the creator of said group.
Yeah. So when I created Mindset Motivation, I created it because I was in early recovery and other groups weren't allowing me to post some of the things that I felt I needed to post or express myself. So I created my own platform to where I could be free to post whatever I wanted. And as it grew and grew, I just stayed consistent. And then it felt like overnight it blew up and exploded. Like now it's a really good place for a lot of people to share their thoughts, dreams, aspirations, motivations. And so that's what we're going to talk about.
And it's so
today.
cool because it's not just recovery. It's not just religion, because there's a lot of religion on there. There's a lot of recovery on there. But because I'm just joined, I'm late to the party, But it's I saw a friend who responded to one of the posts and put a picture in there, and she's not in recovery or anything like that. She's just, down to be, the motivation and stuff like that. It was really cool. I was like, yeah, this rocks.
I remember seeing that in its early years too, where, a lot of the sober posts started coming up and people were saying how, hey, this isn't for that. And it's like, no, it's not just for that. It's a whole mindset. It's not only, like you said, not only for addicts, not only for people just trying to have general motivation, or if like you're trying to slump yourself out of a bad day or depression, like that site, the Mindset Motivation, it's a good place for everyone to commune, to come together. Like if you look at these posts, there is something you can take from almost every single one of them. Whether it be like you could think that it's a negative post, or if somebody's getting kind of crazy on there, there's always something there that you can pull out positively, no matter what, whether it be the post itself or the engagement from the other people, because some of them posts, they'll take off and a lot of people start engaging. Then you get to see a lot of different perspectives from people, and you get to hear a lot of different thoughts and the way that, people kind of perceive. And the fact that you made a place for everybody to share that, it's definitely a place that when I have something that I have to share, it's something that I like to share my workouts and such, or like even motivational things. That's a place that I specifically will highlight. Yep, share to that group for sure. And
that's so awesome because it's just positive. There's so many other groups that I'm a part of, and somebody will post something and then the negativity comes in, and it's like, because people get, they get Facebook balls. And it's just like email balls, but bigger. And they just rant and go in. And I mean, I saw this battle between two women, and they had to be, like 70 years old each, and they're both responding to this, and one is just more hurtful than the other. And I was like, man, this is supposed to be a safe place. This is no good. But I haven't seen any of that on Mindset Motivation, so good on you.
Yeah, and I created it also. I gave it the name of Mindset Motivation because addiction, right? It's a thinking disease. So I wanted to name it something that would fit with that, but motivation for, to work hard, to just be a good person, to workouts. You know what I mean? So there's eating healthy. There's so many different mindsets on that page, which makes it the beautiful community that it is. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Awesome.
So let's get into the first one I picked to talk about today.
Let's talk about some posts.
So the first group or post out of the group that I chose says our primary purpose in this life is to help others. And if you can't help
love that
them,
one.
if you can't help them, at least don't hurt them. By Melton Pruitt.
Who's that? Who did that one?
Melton Pruitt.
Melton Pruitt. Shout out, brother. That's
Good
a
man. If you
good
can't help,
one.
yeah, that's awesome.
Melton Pruitt. Yes.
Here, read it for me one more
more
time,
time.
all the way through.
Our primary purpose in this life is to help others. And if you can't help them, at least don't hurt them.
Yep.
Dude, that's so powerful. It's so powerful because, I mean, all right, there's this book by Rick Warren. It's The Purpose-Driven Life, and it's a 40-day book, and it's religion-based. It's Christianity, but it's a 40-day where you read a couple pages a day that leads you to your purpose. And, you know, I read this diligently every day, and, you know, and I came up with my purpose. You know, my purpose is to help other people, which is what I've been taught so well in the program. And it's, you know, being there for the newcomer. It's being there for the people that are just entering this hard way of life. But it's important because it's for everybody, not just in recovery. If you work and you get a new guy that you have to train, you know, my job is to help this person become good at his career so that it can help the company, yada, yada. And, you know, so helping others is just so important in every aspect, you know, and, you know, we've been talking a lot about going to the gym and stuff like that. You go to the gym and being there to spot people, you know, that's huge. And, you know, and it's so important, but I really like that second part. If I can't help somebody, at least don't hurt them.
Right. They don't deserve that. That's for sure. You know, if you're going intentionally out of your way to hurt somebody, it shows a lot of reflection on your own character. And, you know, that's not the kind of people that we're trying to be, essentially. And then when it comes to that whole, you know, helping others, you know, you might hear me mention the accident a lot. That was a pivotal moment for me. That's when I got my sobriety. But, you know, prior to my accident, prior to my sobriety, I had a lot of issues helping others, like not helping friends, like, you know, because it was cool, but just being a general, like, good person, going out of my way to help somebody, like you said, spot somebody maybe, you know, holding a door, like, just little things like that. I was really, really selfish for a long time. But then after you know, the accident and I got my sobriety, that's when I started putting my hand out more, extending my hand, not only of friendship, but to help others. And the knowledge that I was starting to gain, especially with my recovery, because it was like physical recovery, you know, as well as mental recovery. The more I started getting into that, the more I was willing to hear out, help out, you know, try to give perspectives. You know, is this something that you need? This something that you struggle with? Because now I've realized how much I've struggled with, you know, depression, being overweight, obese, like just being lazy, having the addiction. You know, now that I have a bout of clarity, I almost feel like it's my responsibility to help because I've done so much negative, I felt, for so long, and it's about time for me to put that positive out there. But, you know, just you don't have to necessarily be sober to help contribute and to be that positive. But that's kind of what helped. That's kind of where I was at. You know, that was a pivotal moment for me. And ever since I've been sharing, you know, and trying to help others, I've definitely felt a lot more gratification in myself. And yeah, because I think also before I did hurt a lot, you know, because I was so hurt. I was always hurting, and I never had that foresight.
So it makes me think like an active addiction, right? I was very selfish. It was all about me, what I could get out of you. And, you know, once you enter recovery, or once I entered recovery, we talk about like service work. And service work helps me get out of people, or out of myself, and give back to people. You know, recovery is about change. And it makes me think of what my sponsor used to tell me. He said, you know, I was telling him about a situation in my life, and he said, don't do any harm. And I thought he meant to the other person, but he followed it with like, that includes yourself. Like, don't do harm to yourself. So that's what I got out of this. That's what I thought about when I read it. So,
dude, that's big. That's big. Don't harm yourself in it. You know I've sponsored a lot of guys, and, you know, a lot of them don't make it, you know, because getting sober is hard. And if you don't have the right mindset, if you're not, you know, if you don't have that low point to get you through. It sucks. And when you get somebody and you're sponsoring them, you're working with them, you want them to do well. When they don't, it hits you, and it hits you. I remember my first couple sponsees that didn't make it, and man, I beat myself up, and then you have to realize, what you're doing this for. You're trying to help, and not everybody's gonna get it. Was it 10% of people who come into recovery actually get a year sober? That's 90% failure rate. It's hard getting sober, and you can't beat yourself up about it.
I would say for me, getting sober, getting clean was the easy part, especially this last go around where I've actually sustained some recovery. But it's the staying clean and sober, because now all those feelings and all those justifications and everything that I went through in life, which I blamed my using on, now I'm feeling those emotions in the raw, like just, I'm feeling them full force. And it's like, what do I do? Mm-hmm. So that's where I struggled for the longest time. But now, like, I have the courage to be vulnerable and like say, hey, this is hard. I need some help. Hey, John, what should I do in this situation? And how'd you get through it clean and sober? So that's been the biggest change, I would say. But getting clean and sober was the easy part. It's the staying for me. At least in the beginning it was.
Yeah, I can. I kind of knew that the mental aspect of it all was going to be a lot heavier. Because like I said, the accident was my lowest point. That's where everything changed for me. Being in a month-long coma, I'd seen a lot of things, experienced a lot of things in the coma, and then woke up like paraplegic. So I had to learn how to use everything again. But even going through that, I knew that it was the mental aspect of it that was going to be way harder than the physical aspect. I mean, 26 broken bones and multiple organ failures, that didn't seem like shit to me. And I was like, it's going to be the mindset. It really is going to be the mindset. And it took me about a year and a half or so after I finally got like physically able to start being a little more like independent again. That's when I started seeking active therapy and started, really, really digging in. Like you said, those emotions in the raw, because, I used to get mad, used to get sad, used to get upset and find myself at the bottom of a bottle. That's how I coped. And now it's like when you're dealing with this shit raw, there's no blackout point. There's no like, oh, I'm going to do this until I pass out. And maybe in, 16 hours, I won't think about it anymore. Like you're going through it. You're like, hey, how do I sort this? How do I move through this emotion? How the longevity of it, how much of a toll is it going to take on me while I'm going through it? But you find a way, you find a way. And then back to the post, when you're doom scrolling, come across mindset motivation, man, you're like, good point right there. That's something that I really need to take with me today, And that was also like kind of to touch back in the whole coma situation. One of the things that I experienced, one of like the dreams or alternate realities that I was living through when I was there, I had nothing. I had absolutely nothing at this spot I was in. But then there was multiple people that came with multiple different, like a little bit, like somebody came with a little piece of a rag, somebody came with a little piece of food, and multiple people came with things to help me get together so that we all had the same, that we were all on an equal. I wasn't without. And that kind of like showed me like however that dream worked out, that's kind of what opened the door in my mind to start sharing, to start being more open, not just with the help I can provide, but also with my knowledge, which is another big reason why I want to start expressing my sobriety and kind of sharing it. And I know it's not all about sobriety with the mindset motivation, but that's just kind of what I got to share. That's kind of that pivotal moment for me, getting up and helping others, not hurting others.
Mm-hmm.
What you just said reminded me of a quote or a saying that we've all heard. It takes a village to raise a child. The same thing with mental health, recovery, any of it. I get a piece from you that helps me. I get a piece from him. I get a piece from you.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why it's important for us to network. And then having a place like Mindset Motivation, that's a pivotal network point. We can all put our thoughts out there and we can all help each other out.
I'm taking that. I'm thinking about this. At first, do no harm, right, and not hurting. And and I know I hurt a lot of people in the past. And I am a shit talker. I am horrible.
Yeah.
But it's you know, from where I grew up, you know, talking trash is my love language. You know, it's the people that I don't talk trash to are the ones that got to watch out.
That part.
My mom loved calling people assholes. You know, so you know, oh, you're an asshole. That was like her favorite thing. That meant, oh, she loves me. You know, so that's how I took it. And you know, so you know, it's when I talk trash every now and then, I'll feel a little like, oh, maybe I went a little too far.
Yeah.
You know, and when I assume people understand right off the bat that, you know, hey, I'm just talking trash and, you know, hoping everybody smiles and blah blah blah. So before the podcast started, you know, we were talking to Brian about his inability to grow a beard. Because, you know, here we have two luscious beards and Brian doesn't. So now, you know, Brian's going to go home later. He's going to be crying about his inability to grow a beard.
Too far.
You know,
Uh-oh, you're
maybe it's
revving
too
it up.
far. Maybe,
You're revving it up,
you know,
man.
maybe this is the case. You know, maybe I should be thinking about this a little more, you know, and trying not to. So here's an formal amends, Brian. I'm sorry that your beard is not as luscious and never will be.
I thought the quote was about
Lucas
doing
and
no
I.
harm, John.
No, I'm
He's making
apologizing
amends.
right now. I'm
But the
making an
harm's
amends.
already been done.
He's
Even though you're
amends.
doing an amends,
Look at-
the harm's
Ooh,
been done,
we
man.
struck
He's
a- we struck
acknowledging
a
his
chord.
wrong and
Oh, we
promptly
struck a
admitting
chord.
it.
There's
Step
anger.
10.
There's anger here.
Step 10 right there.
No, I agree for sure.
There's
So
anger here.
the trash talking, definitely a love language within my family. You know, my dad's 78 years old and he goes to the gym every day. You know, he warms up with, you know, 100 leg lifts where he raises his knees to his chest. And, you know, I've been in an accident just like him and coma, a lot of broken bones. And my dad always talks trash saying, you know, he's 78 and he's healthier than all his kids and he could whoop my ass. Dude, I'll just take your knees out. It's simple. and we go back and forth to where if an outsider was watching an interaction between me and any of my family members,
That's a fucked up relationship.
what's wrong with these fucking people? But that's how we love each other. We laugh, we keep it light today, through laughter and trash talk.
Something that I actually had to experience was not everybody does accept that kind of love language, right? I had an old friend. He's been probably one of my first friends since kindergarten shit. So shout out to Adam Witt real quick. But he taught me that after not having like a connection for a long time, like we were really good friends for a long time, we had a disconnect through my bout of alcoholism. And after I was sober, we started reconvening and started rekindling the friendship. And it really made me realize that I should not be treating everybody how I think I should treat them, you know, because I was shooting love language at him like I do to my boys, my dude Kyle, like my dude, you know, hey, what up, cockface? Hey, what are you doing, shithead? Like, you know, like that general. And it wasn't the same, you know what I mean? Like I tested the waters a little bit and then I seen like, hey man, that kind of was like not cool. But at the same time, it gave me an open mind. It showed me how to communicate and have a love language then different than what I've known before. So that was a huge moment where I was like, man, I really learned how to communicate effectively with someone that I consider a friend for a long time, but we don't have that same kind of friendship. It's different, you know? And I'm not saying it's different, bad or good, but it's different in the sense that I do treat him with a different love language than I do treat other friends. And because of that, I'm able to network in a different manner with him. You know, like some of my friends, yeah, I can go shoot the shit with regular, whatever. But with him, if I have something deep that's going on, I'm able to really open up to him. And that's because I've learned how to have a softer relationship with him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, sometimes, especially being dudes, you're worried about how you communicate with other guys. You know, you don't want to seem like a soft ass or a pussy or, you know, and once in a while you got to have a friend that you talk to. Hey, I got to get deep with you real quick. I got to feel you. Like, I got to feel this, like get it out. And I didn't realize how important it was. Cause a lot of the relationships I noticed that, you know, I have a lot of deep relationships with other friends, but that banter, that, you know, that shit talk, whatever, that love language kind of does hold a barrier, you know, because if you try to open up and you're trying to get closer, you know, you start trying to play that love language that you're used to, somebody might feel offended in that vulnerable moment. So it's also shown me how to try to communicate in more effective ways than just what I've known.
Man, this was a great post.
Yeah.
Shout out to Melvin again.
Yeah, thanks for the post,
That
bro.
was a great post, dude.
I got
This
another
has been
one.
a great conversation. So
Bring it
far.
on, Brian.
Yeah.
So our next post from the group is by Andrea Marie, and it says, I'm rooting for anybody trying to do better because life isn't easy.
Andrea, man, that's a good one.
All inclusive. Thank you, Andrea.
Read that one again.
So nice he read it twice.
So nice.
I'm rooting for anybody trying to do better because life isn't easy.
Man, that's so big, and it ties in perfect with kind of the last comment too, because helping others, rooting for others, coming from the one common trait with alcoholics, drug addicts, is selfishness, self-centeredness, dishonesty. And when I'm selfish, I'm only thinking about me, and now to be living a better life and to want to help others and things along those lines, I have to genuinely care. I have to, and, today I can honestly say that I do. When somebody comes in, I want them to get sober. I want them to have what I have, which, probably isn't the best, but it's something. It's better than what I was.
Right.
And you see the pain in their eyes. And then again, this doesn't just go for recovery. This goes for, work or school or whatever. You see that pain in somebody's eyes, and, I'm rooting for them. I'm going to do everything I can. If they need to talk, if they need to vent, if they need to do something, let's do it. Let's get into it. I'm going to talk trash, but we're going to do it. And, the joy when you get to see somebody come in and you see that pain in their eyes, and then a few months, a few years, whatever, you see that their eyes are different, and you see gratitude, you see all sorts of different things, and it's amazing. It's really amazing. So I'm rooting for everybody. Anybody who wants to change, anybody who wants to do something different, anybody who wants to attempt, because it's hard. It's hard. Starting a workout program, woo, that's hard.
Yeah.
And, switching diets, deciding, the great New Year's resolutions. They're horrible and they're great at the same time, because it at least you're attempting to make a change,
Yeah.
It's awesome. That's a great one.
Definitely. Yeah, read it for me one more time real quick. Let me get that fresh in my head. Let me get that fresh juices flowing.
I'm rooting for anybody trying to do better because life isn't easy.
Yes. And that's a really big premise of I share my story online, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm always reminding everybody at the end of the videos, get up, get out, go do something positive for yourself. Because sometimes it's all you need is just a little reminder. And like you said, sometimes all you need is just that one cheer, that one, you got this, that one, hey, did you do that today? If you get that one, and that might get the ball rolling that you need. And the next thing you know, you're a month deep in of whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, all because of that one compliment, that one push that somebody gave you, that one extra oomph. Like I share my story specifically because I broke my entire body. And one of my biggest dreams was to be a world's strongest man. So it's like, how do I achieve said goal now that I'm trying to rehabilitate myself from absolutely nothing? But because I've shared my story and I've shared the surgeries that I've still had to endure or still have to endure, I've had multiple people come and say, hey, thanks for sharing this. I never would have kept pushing in this manner or this fashion, because I've had people that have had broken bones or like colostomy bags or, all kinds of things. They've reached out and said, hey, if you weren't sharing what you were doing, I never would think that I could get further than where I am. So it's like, that's for me, that's how I'm rooting for others. Hey, you're down there, you were getting messed up, you're depressed, or you were overweight. Like, I'm rooting for you to get better, because that's where I was. And I want to show that it is possible to happen. And while you're doing it, I'm there rooting for you. You know, even if I don't know you directly, you see my videos, like I'm rooting for every individual to get to do the best that they can, because I know what it was like when I was merely grasping at the concept of being the best that I could, you know.
Well, I think that's why they have cheerleaders on the side at a football game, right? You know, you look over, you hear that voice in the background, even if you can't see them, you hear it in the background, you know, propelling you forward,
Right.
even when you feel like you can't. And you know, I've experienced that so many times in my life, you know, where it's that one person believing in me that keeps me going, or trying one more time. You know, I've been to treatment a lot. You know, I you know, connect everything to recovery, but I've been to treatment a lot. And the last time I went, I was talking about how shameful and like, I don't even know why I do this. And they were like, at least you're trying. Like, you didn't give up on yourself. And that goes to every aspect of my life today. You know, I kept going despite the fear, despite the feeling of I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to accomplish this, whatever it is in my life. I get up even when I don't want to, even when I'm scared, even when it's hard, and I keep going to make that effort for myself because of other people that believed in me a little bit,
So awesome.
a little bit.
And when you're another thing too, like when you're rooting for people, I think it's important to remember that root out of the genuine like care and love of your heart. You know, don't expect to have anything in return. Like, you know, if somebody does something for themselves and it's big and you're rooting for them, you know, I don't think it's a good place to be like, hey, well, because I was there for you, you did it, and I'm the reason why you. No, you encourage them. That's theirs to own. That's theirs to have. You know, that's one of those things too. Don't be selfish. Because in the past, if I was to help somebody, you know, that'd be something I'd remind. Hey, remember, I was there. Remember what I did for you. Remember, hey, dude, come on, don't you remember what I did for you? Right. Well, now it's like, nah, man. Hey, do it to it. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna cheer you on. And you know what? I'm gonna see how far it takes you. I'm not gonna have to remind you how much I did for you, because in a sense, you're just saying that because you did it for yourself. So yeah, when you cheer them on, when you root them on, root, make sure it's genuinely for them.
That's amazing. Yeah, genuine is huge. I think just being more vocal about it, you know, that's, I think, the biggest thing, you know, because I'm just thinking about, you know, the newcomers that come in and they're scared. Going down them stairs the first time, it's scary, you know, and, you know, filled with anxiety, filled with depression, they just lost their best friend, you know, and they're grieving a loss of alcohol and drugs, and you know they need it, you know, and there's so many times a newcomer will come in and, you know, maybe somebody will introduce themselves, you know. I think it needs to be bigger. You know, I want to be bigger. I'm going to, you know, personally, I want to be bigger. When a new person comes in, hey, you got this, man. You got this, you know, and get loud with it. And, you know, because it's all about enthusiasm, you know, especially early on. You know, you come in and you drag ass, you're going to have drag ass sobriety. You know, if you come in and you want this, you know, if I see Lucas across the way, I want what he's got. You know, I want to be enthusiastic about it. Lucas, give me your number, dude. I want to talk to you about some things. How many times do a newcomer do that to you? You know?
Right.
No, and because they're filled with that fear, you know, and it's debilitating. And sometimes they need, hey, you know, here's my number. Call me. You know, and the sheet that goes around, you know, I've put my number on thousands of pieces of paper, and I've gotten, you know, half a dozen calls in 21 years. And, and you know, now I'll go up to somebody and say, hey, you give me your number. I'll call you. You know, that's big. You know, that's rooting somebody on, I think. That's really, you know, taking the bull by the horns.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's like getting uncomfortable. But it's kind of crazy if I think back to active addiction for me, right? I was courageous, willing to go up to any alley, you know, stick my hand through any door with a little bit of money, hoping they were going to put something in my hand. And I was willing to do whatever it took to get that next one. But then I switched to recovery, and it's like, I'm scared. What am I scared of? Like, I did some crazy things out there. Willing to do whatever it took to kill myself, but when it comes to changing my life, saving my life, you know, I've got some fear now. Like, come on. So but I understand it. I think of, as you said, what you said, I think of one sponsee out of all the ones that I've had thus far. I give them the instructions of call me every day for 30 days because one, it gives them some accountability and I see their willingness. And one has made it through that 30 days. And if they miss one day within that 30 days, they've got to start over.
Wow, you're like a drill sergeant sponsor. Man.
Hey, man.
You got to test that willingness,
You got to see what people are made of, see if they really want what they want. So
work for it.
Work for it, true that.
I had to work for mine. I had to do the work. So, I had to get uncomfortable and do something I didn't want to do.
Yeah, I'm not a hard ass sponsor.
Well,
Not a hard ass.
Some of the-
Very
You're a
kind
hard
and
ass.
loving.
Look,
But I give them.
I don't want to call you now.
Don't call me. Don't.
See, I heard a lot of old schools in my AA. They talked about how they won't make that call like how he says, because it is on them. Like it's on them to have that sobriety. So if they're sponsoring someone, they are saying, hey, it is relying on you. If you have a problem, you have to come to me because you have to relearn how to deal with and manage your problems. I can't check up on you every day because there's going to be a day where I'm not here. So it's like, but at the same time, how many people need, like, that goes that back to the rooting on. How many people just need to have that phone call that says, how are you doing today? Did you make it through the day? Did you have that thought? Did you get past that thought? Some people do need that. So, it's like finding a balance.
Have you watched the show Louder Milk?
No.
Oh my goodness. You're going to call me later and thank me for this recommendation because it's all about recovery, but it's not a specific program. Or it might be one, I don't know. They're based in Seattle. And the guy who hasn't sponsored forever, he's this big dude. And he jumps in and shows up at the dude's house and shows up at the work. It's so outrageous, but it's so funny. Oh, you got to watch Louder Milk.
Louder Milk.
Any person in recovery, anybody, it's hysterical.
Nice.
So we're going to go to another post within the group. We're going to double up.
Who was the last one? What was it?
Andrea Marie.
Andrea Marie. Thank you for that.
Let's see.
So this one's from Andrea Marie as well.
Oh, double down.
Double dip and Andrea Marie.
Yeah. It says, one thing you're grateful for right now.
One thing I'm grateful for right now. Andrea, you're coming with the tough ones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm grateful for everything, but I gotta say I'm most grateful for God. I'm most grateful for the relationship that I've been given through my program, through the 12 steps with my relationship with God. And it took a long time and it's ever evolving, but it's so awesome because, it's like, you know who the loneliest people are? Atheists. It's lonely. It's late. And it might be, I might get yelled at for that later, but, with God, I've always got, something rooting for me. And I remember God was the program for me for a long time. I trusted them. I loved them and they led me in the right direction, and since then it's evolved from Spirit of the Universe to now I've found a church that I really like and it's awesome. It's awesome. And being given God and, has been the greatest gift that the program gave me.
Nice. I think the one thing that I'm grateful for right now in this moment is my mindset. The way that my mind is working, the way that I'm running, the way that I'm reprogramming myself, reformatting myself is like I like to call it. There was a lot of things before that I fantasized about or romanticized about. And for a long time, I never made it happen. And like my mindset now is just becoming so much stronger, becoming so much more like enduring, especially in stressful situations. I don't react the same way that I used to. And a lot of things that come up, like life hits you when it's least expected, but understanding that with the highs have to come the lows. So while you're riding that high, that low is going to come. And if you're in the right mindset, you have the foresight, you can see the waves coming. So you stay on the highs, you ride the highs and you enjoy it. But when you go down and back into the lows, where you're going to be, you're going to have to fight. And while you're going through that, the thing that keeps me moving through them lows is knowing the next high is going to come. The waves have to go back up. And then if you're in still waters, you just enjoy the sky, man. That's the mindset that I've had. Like just an example for today. I had a therapy session in a whole nother county at 11 o'clock. 8 o'clock this morning, my tire blows out. What do? I didn't say fuck it. I didn't say forget everything. I didn't go and find a bottle or get drunk about it or what. I made some phone calls. I got to the grindstone. I figured out where I had to go, how I had to get there, what tools were required, and I got all that with the help of course, some homies. They came and gave me a ride here and there where I needed to be. But it was because of my mindset that I said, all right, this is the plan. This is the actions that I need to take. Let's start executing them. Executed them. Granted, I was late to the therapy, but because I was late there, she was able to, hey, we'll keep you longer because my other session, okay, here, other session canceled. Cool. So I still did have a full session. And then getting here, I was here at like right as I was supposed to get here. Like I'm pushing it on the highway in traffic. And it's all because of that mindset I had this morning that I was not going to give up. That's something that I'm most grateful for is because that mindset I had such a good grip on for so long in my early 20s. And then somewhere along the way, I lost it and I forgot how to use it and kind of forgot how to rekindle it. But I got that back within the past year and a half. And that's something that I've been grateful for, having a reformatted mindset.
I think mine would be the ability to love myself today. Because for the longest time, I was always running from myself, running from my insecurities, running from, this pain of my own self-talk. My self-talk was brutal, and I can do me more damage with my self-talk than any words you could ever speak to me. And today, I'm okay. I can finally look myself in the mirror and be okay with the man I see. Through some recovery and, a little bit of therapy and a lot of hard work, I like me today. I'm okay being the Brian because kind of like the quotes, I'm kind to others. I'm a good person. I'm empathetic. I can help. And it's been the greatest gift that I've ever received. So,
man, that's a good one. That's a good one. You know what else I'm grateful for? The ability to grow a beard.
Man, I was just about to say that beard, right?
You hear these guys?
Look,
I didn't bring
The
it
quote
up.
was about doing no harm, and they doubled back and doubled down.
The one teardrop comes down Brian's cheek and comes down and it's rested on his chin that has no beard.
Come on.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
absolutely.
our posters in the mindset group. Yeah.
Shout out again to our sponsor, Never Alone Recovery. Check them out on Facebook or at neveralonerecovery.com.
Yeah, and thanks for those. Thanks for the posters. Those guys, those were awesome. Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Yeah, keep the great posts coming, guys. Thank you.